read the Bible in a year. Joshua 22, 23, and 24. Joshua 22. Then Joshua called together the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and the half-tribe of Manasseh. He told them, "You've done as Moses, the servant of the Lord, commanded you, and you've obeyed every order I have given you. During all this time, you have not deserted the other tribes. You have been careful to obey the commands of the Lord your God right up to the present day. And now the Lord your God has given the other tribes rest, as he promised them. So go back home to the land that Moses, the servant of the Lord, gave you as your possession on the east side of the Jordan River. But be very careful to obey all the commands and the instructions that Moses gave to you. Love the Lord your God, walk in his ways, obey his commands, hold firmly to them, and serve him with all your heart and with all your soul." So Joshua blessed them and sent them away, and they went home. Moses had given the land of Bashan east of the Jordan River to the half-tribe of Manasseh. The other half of the tribe was given land west of the Jordan. As Joshua sent them away and blessed them, he said to them, "Go back to your homes with the great wealth you have taken from your enemies, the vast herds of livestock, the silver, gold, bronze, and iron, and the large supply of clothing. Share the plunder with your relatives." So the men of Reuben, Gad, and the half-tribe of Manasseh left the rest of Israel at Shiloh in the land of Canaan. They started the journey back to their own land of Gilead, the territory that belonged to them according to the Lord's command through Moses. But while they were still in Canaan, and when they came to a place called Geliloth near the Jordan River, the men of Reuben, Gad, and the half-tribe of Manasseh stopped to build a large and imposing altar. The rest of Israel heard that the people of Reuben, Gad, and the half-tribe of Manasseh had built an altar at Geliloth at the edge of the land of Canaan on the west side of the Jordan River. So the whole community of Israel gathered at Shiloh and prepared to go to war against them. First, however, they sent a delegation led by Phinehas, son of Eleazar, the priest, to talk with the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and the half-tribe of Manasseh. In this delegation were 10 leaders of Israel, one from each of the 10 tribes, and each the head of his family within the clans of Israel. When they arrived in the land of Gilead, they said to the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and the half-tribe of Manasseh, "The whole community of the Lord demands to know why you are betraying the God of Israel. How could you turn away from the Lord and build an altar for yourselves in rebellion against him? Was our sin at Pur not enough? To this day, we are not fully cleansed of it, even after the plague that struck the entire community of the Lord. And yet today, you are turning away from following the Lord. If you rebel against the Lord today, he will be angry with all of us tomorrow. If you need the altar because the land you possess is defiled, then join us in the Lord's land, where the tabernacle of the Lord is situated, and share our land with us. But do not rebel against the Lord or against us by building an altar other than the one true altar of the Lord our God." Didn't divine anger fall on the entire community of Israel when Achan, a member of the clan of Zerah, sinned by stealing the things set apart for the Lord? He was not the only one who died because of his sin. Then the people of Reuben, Gad, and the half-tribe of Manasseh answered the heads of the clans of Israel, "The Lord, the Mighty One, is God. The Lord, the Mighty One, is God. He knows the truth, and may Israel know it too. We have not built the altar in treacherous rebellion against the Lord. If we have done so, do not spare our lives this day. If we have built an altar for ourselves to turn away from the Lord, or to offer burnt offerings, or grain offerings, or peace offerings, may the Lord himself punish us. The truth is, we have built this altar because we fear that in the future your descendants will say to ours, 'What right do you have to worship the Lord, the God of Israel?' The Lord has placed the Jordan River as a barrier between our people and you people of Reuben and Gad. You have no claim to the Lord. So the descendants may prevent our descendants from worshiping the Lord. So we decided to build the altar, not for burnt offerings or sacrifices, but as a memorial. It will remind our descendants and your descendants that we too have the right to worship the Lord at his sanctuary with burnt offerings, sacrifices, and peace offerings. Then your descendants will not be able to say to ours, "You have no claim to the Lord." If they say this, our descendants can reply, "Look at this copy of the Lord's altar that our ancestors made. It is not for burnt offerings or sacrifices. It is as a reminder of the relationship both of us have with the Lord. Far be it from us to rebel against the Lord or turn away from him by building our own altar for burnt offerings, grain offerings, or sacrifices. Only the altar of the Lord our God that stands in front of the tabernacle may be used for that purpose." When Phinehas, the priest, and the leaders of the community, the heads of the clans of Israel, heard this from the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and the half-tribe of Manasseh, they were satisfied. Phinehas, son of Eleazar the priest, replied to them, "Today we know the Lord is among us, because you have not committed this treachery against the Lord, as we thought. Instead, you have rescued Israel from being destroyed by the hand of the Lord." Then Phinehas, son of Eleazar the priest, and the other leaders left the tribes of Reuben and Gad in Gilead and returned to the land of Canaan to tell the Israelites what had happened. And all the Israelites were satisfied and praised God and spoke no more of war against Reuben and Gad. The people of Reuben and Gad named the altar Witness, for they said, "It is a witness between us and them that the Lord is our God too."
Judges chapter 23. The years passed, and the Lord had given the people of Israel rest from all their enemies. Joshua, who was now very old, called together all the elders, leaders, judges, and officers of Israel. He said to them, "I am now a very old man. You've seen everything the Lord your God has done for you during my lifetime. The Lord your God has fought for you against your enemies. I've allotted to you as your homeland all the land of the nations yet unconquered, as well as the land of those we have already conquered, from the Jordan River to the Mediterranean Sea in the west. The land will be yours, for the Lord your God will himself drive all the people living there now. For the Lord your God will himself drive out all the people living there now. You will take possession of their land, just as the Lord your God promised you. So be very careful to follow everything Moses wrote in the book of instruction. Do not deviate from it, turning either to the right or to the left. Make sure you do not associate with the other people still remaining in the land. Do not even mention the names of their gods, much less swear by them or serve them or worship them. Rather, cling tightly to the Lord your God, as you have done until now. For the Lord has driven out great and powerful nations for you, and no one has yet been able to defeat you. Each one of you will put to flight 1,000 of the enemy. For the Lord your God fights for you just as he promised. So be very careful to love the Lord your God. But if you turn away from him and cling to the customs of the survivors of these nations remaining among you, and if you intermarry with them, then know for certain that the Lord your God will no longer drive them out of your land. Instead, they will be a snare and a trap to you, a whip for your backs and a thorny brambles in your eyes, and you will vanish from this good land the Lord your God has given you. Soon I will die, going the way of everything on earth. Deep in your hearts you know that every promise of the Lord your God has come true. Not a single one has failed, but as surely as the Lord your God has given you the good things he promised, he will also bring disaster on you if you disobey him. He will completely destroy you from this good land he has given you if you break the covenant of the Lord your God by worshiping and serving other gods. His anger will burn against you, and you will quickly vanish from the good land he has given you.
Joshua 24. Then Joshua summoned all the tribes of Israel to Shechem, including their elders, leaders, judges, and officers. So they came and presented themselves to God. Joshua said to the people, "This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. Long ago, your ancestors, including Terah, the father of Abraham and Nahor, lived beyond the Euphrates River, and they worshipped other gods. But I took your ancestor Abraham from the land beyond the Euphrates and led him into the land of Canaan. I gave him many descendants through his son Isaac. To Isaac I gave Jacob and Esau. To Esau I gave the mountains of Seir, while Jacob and his children went down into Egypt. Then I sent Moses and Aaron, and I brought terrible plagues on Egypt. And afterward I brought you out as a free people. But when your ancestors arrived at the Red Sea, the Egyptians chased after you with chariots and charioteers. When your ancestors cried out to the Lord, I put darkness between you and the Egyptians. I brought the sea crashing down on the Egyptians, drowning them. With your very own eyes, you saw what I did. Then you lived in the wilderness for many years. Finally, I brought you into the land of the Amorites on the east side of the Jordan. They fought against you, but I destroyed them before you. I gave you victory over them, and you took possession of their land. Then Balak, son of Zippor, king of Moab, started a war against Israel. He summoned Balaam, son of Beor, to curse you, but I would not listen to him. Instead, I made Balaam bless you, and so I rescued you from Balak. When you crossed the Jordan River and came to Jericho, the men of Jericho fought against you, as did the Amorites, the Perizzites, the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Girgashites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites. But I gave you victory over them, and I sent terror ahead of you to drive out the 2 kings of the Amorites. It was not your swords or bows that brought you victory. I gave you land you had not worked on, and I gave you towns you did not build. The towns where you are now living, I gave you vineyards and olive groves for food, though you did not plant them. So, fear the Lord and serve him wholeheartedly. Put away forever the idols your ancestors worshipped when they lived beyond the Euphrates River and in Egypt. Serve the Lord alone. But if you refuse to serve the Lord, then choose today whom you will serve. Would you prefer the gods your ancestors served beyond the Euphrates? Or will it be the gods of the Amorites in whose land you now live? But as for me and my family, we will serve the Lord." The people replied, "We would never abandon the Lord and serve other gods, for the Lord our God is the one who rescued us and our ancestors from slavery in the land of Egypt. He performed mighty miracles before our very eyes. As we traveled through the wilderness among our enemies, he preserved us. It was the Lord who drove out the Amorites and the other nations living here in the land. So we too will serve the Lord, for he alone is our God." Then Joshua warned the people, "You are not able to serve the Lord, for he is a holy and jealous God. He will not forgive your rebellion and your sins. If you abandon the Lord and serve other gods, he will turn against you and destroy you, even though he has been so good to you." But the people answered Joshua, "No, we will serve the Lord." "You are a witness to your own decision," Joshua said. "You have chosen to serve the Lord." "Yes," they replied, "we are witnesses to what we have said." "All right then," Joshua said. "Destroy the idols among you and turn your hearts to the Lord, the God of Israel." The people said to Joshua, "We will serve the Lord our God. We will obey him alone." So Joshua made a covenant with the people that day at Shechem, committing them to follow the decrees and regulations of the Lord. Joshua recorded these things in the book of God's instructions as a reminder of their agreement He took a huge stone and rolled it beneath the terebinth tree beside the tabernacle of the Lord. Joshua said to all the people, "This stone has heard everything the Lord said to us. It will be a witness to testify against you if you go back on your word to God." Then Joshua sent all the people away to their own homelands. After this, Joshua son of Nun, the servant of the Lord, died at the age of 110. They buried him in the land he had been allocated, at Timnath-Serah in the hill country of Ephraim, north of Mount Gash. The people of Israel served the Lord throughout the lifetime of Joshua and of the elders who outlived him, those who had personally experienced all that the Lord had done for Israel. The bones of Joseph, which the Israelites had brought along with them when they left Egypt, were buried at Shechem in the plot of land Jacob had bought from the sons of Hamor for 100 pieces of silver. This land was located in the territory allotted to the descendants of Joseph. Eleazar, son of Aaron, also died. He was buried in the hill country of Ephraim, in the town of Gibeah, which had been given to his son Phinehas.
Well, we're seeing the end of an era here. The Israelites have taken over or conquered the good portion of this new land God has given them. And these 2 tribes or 2.5 tribes are going back to the land that they first were offered to by Moses to stay on the other side of Jordan. And we see a bit of a miscommunication here where they build an altar. And it's amazing. So many years fighting side by side. The other tribes were thinking of going to kill them.
Yeah, I thought of, we're looking at how the Bible just looks at human nature, our relationship with each other and with God. And I just thought, wow, that is just such human nature, to falsely accuse them. They actually made an assumption that this place that they had built, constructed, this monument, that it was to do sacrifices and burnt offerings, that they were basically making their own religion. They were kind of like making their own church, basically. They're separating themselves, right? So they made this assumption because of what they had seen without talking to them first. And so they were planning war. And they sent Phinehas. Somebody that everybody feared. They're like, Phinehas is going to be the head. He's going to be the head, and he's going to go talk to you guys, So they were going to go to confront them because they really believed that they were doing something that was wrong.
Yeah. And it's interesting because, we see the downfall of these tribes that were left there. They were judging the hearts of their brothers and compatriots, their brothers in arms. But also their brothers in arms were judging them and saying, oh, you're going to forget about us. So we're setting this up as a memorial. It just shows the weakness or the frailty of human nature, I think.
There was fear.
Yeah.
And whenever fear jumps in, it can really cause people to do things that are ungodly, really. Yeah. But you see the response. He was unfairly accused. They were unfairly accused. And that was the strongest fighting tribe that we're talking about. We're talking about the tribe of Reuben. They were the warriors, right? The lead warriors. And they were the ones who were being accused. And so, they could have just rebelled. They could have, how dare you accuse us? Like, who do you think you are? How dare you? And they could have fought them. They could have, taken an affront and been very prideful and responded in a very, prideful way, I guess, and in a very strong manner. They could have actually gone to war. But they actually held their composure. Even though they were wrongly accused, they didn't make a big deal out of it. They just explained it. And they said, this is the situation, and that's it. It was dropped. The people went back home. They went to their place, or they stayed at their place, and it was all explained. It didn't continue. It dropped at that point.
And I think it speaks to the fact that when there's conflict, we need to take our pride and our egos out of the conflict and listen to the other side of the story, because often people have reason for doing the things that they're doing. And when we listen and with humility, listen as friends or as brothers, we can understand their side of the story.
And so here, what we're learning here in this situation is God is calling us to keep our heads when there's a situation where there's some misunderstanding or there seems to be something, and it looked like it. It really looked like they did build something. Even if something looks really true, we still have to talk. Yes. And that's what the scriptures say, is talk about it.
Sure.
And then we go on to see that they're being reminded of everything that God had done for them.
Yes. Yeah. Even though they've won all these victories and won these battles, I think Joshua's reminding them that God did it for you. Think about what he's done in the past. Think of what he's done now. Let's not forget him when we take over this land.
And there, Joshua, he drew a line in the sand. He said, "You got to choose. Are you going to go and follow the gods that of the other side of the Euphrates? The false gods, basically. You going to go and do that?" And he's reminded them, saying, "Look what the true God has done for you. He's the one who gave the land. He's the one who gave you the houses. And he actually said that this is going to happen. He told you you're going to get these things if you followed him. And he came through with it. In fact, everything that God had said up to that point, he had honored every single promise. In other words, what about these other gods? They were the ones who were destroyed in Egypt. They did nothing. They have no power to do anything. So are you going to follow those other ones? Are you going to follow the God that has actually helped you in your life?
And there's one statement I love in this passage that we just read where it brings it back to an individual decision. He says, I don't know about you, but as for me and my household, we will follow the Lord our God. And I think we as individuals have to make that decision. Am I going to follow God, or am I going to choose to follow the crowds or follow these other gods that the world pushes on us daily?
And it's so true what you're saying. I mean, it's a decision that we have to make every single day. We get influenced by the world. There's continual conflict that can happen around us. And in the middle of everything that's happening and that happens, it's really up to us to say, who am I going to be?
Yes.
Who am I going to follow? Am I going to give in and just be like the world around me? Or am I going to be different? Am I going to follow God? And even if it's difficult, even if I have to go beyond what my feelings and emotions want to do, I need to do what is right.
So true. So very, very true. Join us again next time. Bye-bye.